Friday tradition, unlike any other here on the Sweat, we're bringing it home with some NASCAR picks with two of the absolute best, Geoff Ulrich and Pearce Dietrich. Let's get everyone caught up on the season standings between you two. So Pearce, 479 DK fantasy points. Geoff, 345 DK fantasy points. Last week, you were to make up a little bit of ground. Is that true? It was the All-Star race, wasn't it?
I have no idea what happened in the All-Star race. I don't even remember who we picked. That's how like little sort of interest we had in the All-Star race.
Yeah, totally get it.
If I made up some ground, fantastic.
Okay, so Pearce, we had you on yesterday. We talked a lot of F1. We talked some IndyCar, but we're going to focus here on the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Kyle Larson, he leads the way this week with a high salary of 11.3. So he's averaging 29 DK fantasy points per race, has one win. Is that worth paying up for, in your opinion?
Yeah, you can pay up. You don't really need to worry about the win. What you're paying up for are laps led. There are 400 laps in this race. We've seen drivers go north of 200 points at this racetrack, and it typically goes to an expensive driver. The only concern, this is a very big concern, is they're blowing tires left and right. And so Larson could blow a tire. Any of these expensive drivers could blow a tire. It's a really serious problem. It makes it kind of hard to watch at times. But if you want to argue for him, blowing tires typically leads to cautions. That means restarts, a lot of short runs, and typically this season Kyle Larson's had very good short run speed. So he's fine. You can pay for him.
I mean, Geoff, you going to pay for him, or you like someone else who maybe not blow as many tires?
I mean, I don't have any like secret tire info, unfortunately. You should probably DM Pearce or listen to his like late night podcast. I do agree with him from a strategy standpoint, though. Like you look at the winners of this race and just what they've done in terms of like DFS output. Kyle Larson led the most laps and he won. Martin Truex Jr. in 2019, same thing. Kyle Busch in 2018. Like, these guys are putting up massive points. So it becomes pretty clear to me from a DFS perspective, you maybe not only want to pay up for like one guy like Kyle Larson, but probably someone else expensive as well. You need exposure to the top. If you don't land on the winner of this race, because the winner of this race is most likely going to be one of the favorites. They're going to lead the like 150 plus laps, and they're going to get the winner's points. You need that exposure. It almost doesn't matter. Give yourselves two double dips. Kyle Larson is absolutely a good choice, and I think our guy Chase Elliott is probably where I'd go next.
Pearce, looking at your rankings here on DK Nation, looks like you got Martin Truex Jr. at 10-2 as in the 3 spot there. Why would you want to pay up for him this week?
Well, just going off of what Geoff said, you've got to pay up for these expensive drivers that are going to lead some of these 400 laps. And as I mentioned, with the blowing tires, I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say it's like Mario Kart with banana peels out there taking out random drivers. And so you're not going to see just one guy run away with this race, because you're going to have wrecks and we're going to re-rack them and restart, and then someone else pulls the lead or someone has a good pit stop. And it's typically going to be the expensive drivers, and they're going to go out and stay out front for a while. And Truex has a great record of doing that.
Yeah.
In the low downforce package and in the high downforce package, he has been an absolute monster at this track. 6 of the last 8 races at Charlotte, he's either scored the most fantasy points or the second most fantasy points. Everything is in his favor except for maybe possibly dodging the banana peels. But if he dodges the banana peels, he has a very good chance of being one of those guys that leads 100 laps.
Yeah, and if you're in the lead in Mario Kart, someone picks up one of those blue shells, like, you're absolutely screwed. It's a good thing that's not a thing at Charlotte, where, dude, Geoff, 9 top 10s and 7 top 5s in the last 11 races. The guy's been consistently good here.
Those blue shells they really ruin the game.
They really do.
But yeah, Martin Truex Jr. So here's the thing. Again, you want exposure. I think you want as much exposure to the top as possible. I would probably rank him just below Chase Elliott in terms of like drivers like that I like. I think Chase Elliott, just what his performance has done over the whole season, you have to give him the edge over Truex Jr., even though their salaries are obviously, there's a $500 difference. But if you were to double down here, I don't mind fading Kyle Larson and then going with Truex Jr. as your second big dog. It makes a ton of sense. Obviously, in terms of laps led and just what he's done at Charlotte, that makes a ton of sense. You also might get, it's possible, like, coming off a couple slow weeks, people just will fade Truex Jr. and feel like they have to pay up for Larson and then, dip into the 9K range. So, you got to always think about strategy. There's tons of big contests on DraftKings for NASCAR. So obviously you're trying to beat a lot of different people. And I think paying up for two 10K drivers, making Truex one of your picks, absolutely fine. If I was ranking them, he'd definitely be in my top 3 of guys over 10K. So
wow, Pearce has Chase Elliott as 7th in his rankings for this week's race. I know it really is typical. What about value? I'm seeing some cheaper dudes in your article, Pearce.
Yeah, Corey LaJoie and Ty Gilliland. You could even consider Ty Dillon down there at the bottom, Michael McDowell. I'm thinking about double punting, taking 2 guys at the bottom. That way I can spend more bullets trying to get these guys that are going to lead laps. And Gilliland and LaJoie can definitely score points. LaJoie's got a top 20 finish in 4 of the last 5. The only time that he missed was at Darlington recently, where he just made one mistake, got into the wall at a very treacherous track. Also, if guys are blowing tires left and right, just through attrition, if Gilliland and LaJoie aren't the guys breaking down, then they're going to score points. So I'm definitely on board with taking 2 really cheap drivers and then spending up with the rest.
All right, Geoff, do you like that strategy?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to, right? I just said, like, you need to spend up for the big guys. And again, it's just a matter of, like, we're just trying to cover the field here. So yeah, it's just like you're playing the top of the board. You want exposure to a couple guys. Maybe one of them blows the tires, but you have to, because you need the win points. At the bottom, you just want a couple cheap guys who are performing well and potentially just going to be able to get you, like, even just like a couple bonus points, like a 1 lap led or something like that. And these, guys like Ty Dillon, LaJoie, Gilland at 5,200, 55,000 flat, actually. They're driving well, and maybe they don't even get you that many bonus points, but they're so cheap that they're going to be able to obviously fit in your lineup and make things work. Justin Haley is another name I'd throw at 6,300. I like Haley because he does get those fastest lap points. Like, he's got multiple fastest lap points in it looks like 6 of his last 8 races. Those are big when they add up, right? I mean, like, his upside is just slightly bigger than some of those guys, probably in the 5K range. So Haley is another driver you could throw in to your lineup to make it work at the top. At least I didn't say golfer.
Yeah, no, that's fine, which I'm shocked you didn't say golfer. We have 2.5 minutes to go in the show. Geoff, is there a driver that you are fading, completely staying away from this week?
Yeah, I mean, I like Tyler Reddick. He just seems a little bit expensive here at 9,600. Like, I think if you're going to get your Tyler Reddick exposure, maybe just bet him in the outright department because he's around plus 1,400 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. But for DFS purposes, it does seem like, again, I mean, you just look at the drivers underneath them. And if you're going to go in that range, I mean, Logano, Blaney, you're just saving so much money that, again, the purpose here is we want to get, the exposure to the 10K guys. I think fading Reddick is fine. I like him, but again, you can kind of hedge if you like him too, and leave him out of DFS and just bet him on the outright department.
All right, Pearce, what do you think?
Yeah, we can't cross anyone off. Maybe when we see qualifying and then we know upside, then we can downgrade a couple people. But as I mentioned, these tires are going to take out random people. So we're going to see drivers that don't deserve to finish well. Also, when you blow a tire, we have a restart. Restarts on a very tight Charlotte track lead to even more wrecks. I expect carnage and chaos. That means I really can't cross anybody off early in the week.
All right, this is it, guys. This is the moment of truth. Who is your best DFS play for the Coca-Cola 600, Pearce?
Kyle Busch, you may remember last week I predicted that he would win the pole, and he did.
Yeah!
I also predicted Tyler Reddick would win the pole. He won the pole as well. And the reason why was because Kyle Busch has an insane pit crew. Look, I hate to break it to you guys, but these races aren't really decided on the track anymore. For the most part, they're decided on pit road. Who has the best pit crew? We're going to have plenty of pit stops because of all the cautions. That's a huge advantage for Kyle Busch. As long as he doesn't blow a tire like he did in the All-Star race, he was winning that race and going to run away with that race. He should run away with this race. Expect cautions, restarts, wrecks, big pit crew. Like, to make a golf reference, imagine the Masters driving, approach, none of that mattered. It was just putting. Well, if that were the case, and it was just a big putt-putt event, you would pick the best putter. So it comes down to pit road. I'm picking the driver with the best pit crew.
Well, you made that easy for Geoff Ulrich to understand. Quickly, Geoff.
Very easy. I would not pick Will Zalatoris then. I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. He's been really consistent all year. I think that speaks to the fact that hopefully he does have a big, good pit crew. I haven't been necessarily doing the research in that regard, but Chase Elliott, good real driver rating as well. I just think that, with the more laps, Chase Elliott is going to break through here again. He's looked real good this year.